My name is Frank Cooper. I am Emeritus Professor of Musicology at the Frost School of Music at the University of Miami. I taught there for 30 years. I'm here to speak to you about a project of great interest to me and one which I hope will be of interest to you when you hear about it. It's a project by Tomas Cotik, the violinist who did such a successful project involving the Mozart violin sonatas a couple of years ago. And now we have a new project in the works. The complete 6 sonatas and partitas for solo violin by Sebastian Bach. It's a project of unusual interest, one which I want to tell you about in an unusual way, by reading to you something that I wrote on the subject but chose not to include in the program notes that will accompany the album. May I have your attention? Think about the challenge, to use today's buzzword, the challenge for a composer who lived in a culture where bass lines generated what rose above for works that involved treble instruments. Then imagine further the challenge of trying to meet the expectation for bass lines supporting inner parts as well as the upper melodically prominent parts on a single treble instrument such as the violin. One might as well ascend to bizarre consideration that a stringed treble instrument with 4 strings and a horsehair bow might be shown capable of a fugue if the composer were crazy enough to fantasize so peculiar a possibility. If you think of another cliche of our vocabulary, the lunatic fringe, yet Bach hovered on no edge of lunacy. Challenges from which other creative writers must have cowered rose and were challenged with lasting impact. His solutions soared with ingenuity, innovation, inspiration in measure beyond the reckoning of his contemporaries and their successors. To publish such successful experiments in the expression of musical ideas would have been folly in 1720. Far safer to avoid accusations of pretension and performance impossibility by leaving them on shelves after local use and to let dust settle on their fading pages. Well, good paper lasts, if undisturbed, for centuries. Time offers the arrival of dust blowers with inquiring minds and new reactions to inky marks defining structures of sound, timbres, and textures, of thought and feeling, to be perceived as never before as cornerstones of interest to performers whose skills had advanced from the mundane to the transcendent. And that's the music that Bach in 1720 put into a single manuscript, and we don't know why he did it. It may be because his wife had recently died. It may be a tribute to her. Some people think so, but no one knows. It may be that there was another instrumentalist working at the same court where Bach worked, Anhalt Köthen, who might have played the pieces. But on the other hand, that may not be true either, because Bach himself, his own sons attest, was one of the best violin players of his day. So certainly Bach had the wherewithal to know what this music sounded like on an actual instrument. Yet he chose not to publish. Thereby hangs one of the mysteries behind 6 very great works. 3 of them are so-called sonatas, which means they are abstract works, and 3 of them are dance suites containing the dances that were known in Bach's day, even though they weren't all danced. Nor was this music actually meant to be danced, although some of it could. So we are here in the presence of several mysteries for which there are no answers except public performance, or in the case of a recording, performance in one's home when you want to hear it.